Hi everyone and welcome back. There's plenty going on in the world right now. What a time it is to be alive. We have mind-blowing government debt, unhinged politicians with literally no idea what they're doing. We've got a monstrous bureaucracy, a financial system that feels like it owns us instead of actually serving us. There's a big push for centralised control, digital surveillance and tracking. Some people want to just choose to ignore the whole thing. Fair enough. Many people think that it's destiny, that all of this is just inevitable, maybe that it was written into the final chapter of human history. But what happens if it isn't? What if none of this is actually all set in stone? What if the only reason that the system feels so powerful is because maybe we've convinced ourselves that we are powerless? See, let me tell you something really simple. Systems of control don't run on force. That's never worked. If you look out through history, they run on participation. And the biggest fuel source is the money system itself, the banking system. See, the people at the very top, they rely on this. They depend on this. They're not steering governments and steering corporations by waving some magic wand. They use money. They use the fiat monetary system. Their influence collapses the moment that the financial system stops feeding upward. So the 1% don't control the people, they control the mechanism that regular people trust. But the only way to fix it is not by voting someone in to try and fix it for us. The change starts with you and me. We can exit the system very quietly. We can do it legally, silently, without breaking one single rule, without getting arrested, without being labelled anything. We just need to start by asking ourselves a few very simple questions. Why is my money sitting in the bank, for example? What is the bank actually doing with my money? How much is it earning for me to have a deposit there? Is this system actually working in my favour, or am I just feeding someone else's advantage? See, most people never ask those questions because they assume that, well, everything's safe, everybody does it. But safety isn't the absence of risk. Safety is understanding where your value actually sits. What about where you go and do your shopping? Are you buying produce from local markets, or are you going to the supermarket? Are you going to maybe the local hardware store, or are you heading off to Bunnings? Look, it might be convenient, but what is it actually costing? See, I remember growing up, there was strip shops everywhere. There was a local butcher, local fruit shop, milk bar, deli. And look, they're still around, but unfortunately, sadly, they're thinning out. And why is that? It's because of us. It's because consumers want lower prices. We want convenience. We want tomatoes all year round. Have a think about your life. What do you do for work? Are you grinding hard for someone else's system, for their wealth, to feed a corporation? Are you contributing to your own community somehow? Do you feel joy? Do you feel peace? Do you feel purpose? Or are you exhausted and confused, and sick and tired of it, and just hoping that one day maybe things might change or go back to normal? See, we can't wait for change to just happen. Change starts with understanding how the system works and then stopping being a battery for it. And here's the truth that isn't necessarily all that easy to admit. The government and all of these powers is made up of people. They're not made up of machines. It's not destiny, not prophecy, but people. People with the same weaknesses that all of us have as human beings. Ego, pride, greed, envy, and the worst one, fear. And see, and these weaknesses are amplified by the culture that we consume. What are we watching? What are we listening to? What are we absorbing every single day? It makes it easier for us to actually accept madness. See, if we want real change, it doesn't start with them. It doesn't start with the Liberal Party or the Labor Party. It doesn't even start with any of the minor parties. It starts with you and me. It starts with us, with awareness, with how we use our money, with how we engage, with what we tolerate, with what we choose to ignore or give attention to, with what we choose to feed, basically. The system doesn't have to collapse when things go bad. The system will collapse when people wake up calmly, quietly, intelligently, and when we stop feeding it. And that is something that every single person can do. We're not doomed. We're not powerless. We're certainly not powerless. And we're not at the mercy of any kind of forces beyond our control. The moment that you understand the system, you stop being controlled by it. And that's the whole point of this message today. Not fear, not doom, not collapse, but clarity. Because when you see how this machine works, you no longer feel trapped inside of it. You realise that you still have choices, and those choices are very real. They can be quiet choices, choices that don't require permission from any one person. You don't have to burn anything down or burn the system down. You don't have to fight anyone, do any of that sort of stuff. You don't have to bring down the elites. All you have to do is stop feeding the parts of the system that no longer actually serve you, and start feeding the parts of life that actually matter, like your family, your values, your community, your peace, your purpose. That is where the power actually is. And once enough people, even if it's just a small fraction at this stage, start making those quiet and very intentional, legal, everyday choices, well, the system will naturally change on its own. Not because we fought it or we rose up, but because it stopped being fueled by us. So, no, I don't believe that we're doomed at all. We're not in an impossible situation, and we're not living out some inevitable ending. This is not the final chapter, it's a turning point. And for the first time in a long time, it's quite apparent to me that people are starting to actually see it. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you found some value in the video. Just remember to stay calm, stay aware, stay human, and I'll see you in the next video.